Okay, so a very good evening to all of you. This video is on the second part on the odontogenic keratocyst, where we are going to talk about the histopathological features, the differential diagnosis, treatment, and the causes of recurrence. For more videos on the cyst of the odontogenic origin and the odontogenic tumors, you can check out the playlist in the channel Truth Be Told. There are also time tags in the description so that you can quickly revise before your exams. So a quick revision. In the previous video, we have already talked about the terminology, etiopathogenesis, clinical features, and radiological features. We have in short discussed that this is a benign but locally aggressive developmental odontogenic cyst with a high rate of recurrence. We have seen that the most common site of occurrence was in the posterior mandible, especially in the ramus third molar area. We have also seen that 50% of these can be asymptomatic, and the symptomatic ones come with a swelling with or without pain, with or without expansion of the bone, and sometimes displacement or resorption of the adjacent teeth. Now, a very important thing we had seen was its growth in the anteroposterior dimension, right? So it grows within the medullary cavity, and this allows it to be detected very late. So it can grow to a large size without symptoms. We have also seen its association with the gall and gall syndrome, which we have talked about in detail. It is associated with multiple odontogenic keratocysts. We have also discussed the other features. So today let's start talking about the histopathology. As always, I'm going to teach you the histopathology under three headings, which are the lumen. This is the lumen, the lining epithelium, and the connective tissue capsule, right? So starting with the lumen. Now, if I got a cyst that looked something like this, and if I were to aspirate its contents, I would notice a thin straw-colored fluid or a thick creamy material consisting of keratin debris. So in this injection, I have got a thick white, brown, creamy, pale colored, creamy, cheesy material, right? And this has low protein level. So the protein level will be less than 4 gram per 100 ml or 40 gram per 1 liter. And this is diagnostic of an keratinizing cyst or a OKC or a odontogenic keratocyst. Okay, it will contain high amount of keratin debris. In some situations, I might also notice cholesterol as well as hyaline bodies, especially in inflamed cysts. Okay, so we have studied that the aspiration will yield a thick creamy material consisting of keratin with low soluble protein. The next thing, the diagnostic thing, is the lining epithelium. So here what I notice is a thin but uniform lining. Okay, so the lining is thin. It is only 6 to 8 layers, but it is uniform. It is constant throughout. 6 to 8 layers here and 6 to 8 layers here. And the lining is made up of stratified squamous epithelium, right? Now, the important part here is that this stratified squamous epithelium lining is keratinized, right? So we had studied radicular and dentigerous cysts so far, and we had studied they were non-keratinized. So OKC is keratinized. Now, the keratinization pattern can either be of parakeratin or orthokeratin or both. And on the basis of that, your histopathology changes. So in parakeratinized, let's first talk about the parakeratinized. Then after 2 slides, I will tell you about the orthokeratinized. Okay, so this diagram is of the parakeratinized variant. Here what you see is a distinctive lining with distinctive basal cells and surface layer, right? So here you have a corrugated appearance. Basal cells are palisaded, and the superficial portion contains parakeratin. So let me draw it for you. First of all, you have 6 to 8 layers, right? Uniform. Here, the basal layer is tall columnar, right? An important feature here is that the nuclei is hyperchromatic and hyperpolarized. So it is hyperchromatic and hyperpolarized. What does hyperpolarized mean? It is situated away from the basement membrane, right? It is in the opposite direction. This resembles your pre-ameloblast. So the next thing is 6 to 8 layers of your cells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th layer. And the 6th layer, I have something covering a corrugated appearance of parakeratinized epithelium, right? So they retain their pycnotic nuclei. Now, an important thing is that the basal layer give you a picket fence appearance, right? So this is what a picket fence is, or a tombstone appearance. Why? Because all of the cells, they are in one line. All of the nuclei are in one line. So this gives you a picket fence or a tombstone appearance. Okay, and the superficial portion contains parakeratinized epithelium. So again, let us quickly revise the epithelium lining. It is made up of, it is uniform and it is thin. 6 to 8 layers of stratified squamous epithelium, which is keratinized. The keratinization pattern can be parakeratin or orthokeratin. We have studied the features of parakeratin, where you have the, in this diagram, you have the surface which is corrugated, one. Then you have the basal cells, which are palisaded, hyperchromatic, and hyperpolarized. Okay. In the connective tissue capsule, what we see is parallelly arranged collagen fibers, blood vessels, and fibroblasts, and satellite cysts, right? So satellite cysts, where do they arise from? They arise from the epithelium line, right? They may be present in the connective tissue. And we also see separation of the lining epithelium from the capsule. So here, in this diagram, here we have the epithelium lining, and here we have the connective tissue capsule. What we see is a separation between these two, right? And the second thing is that the epithelium connective tissue interface is also flat, right? There is no retipex. No retipex, and a separation can be seen. Now, I was telling you about the orthokeratinized OKC. Why I have made a separate slide is because it acts differently than the other OKC, okay? It is almost always found in association with a dentigerous cyst, and it is less aggressive than the parakeratinized OKC. It is not associated with the nevoid basal cell carcinoma syndrome. And when you look at the histopathology, we see thick uniform epithelial lining covered by orthokeratin with a prominent granular layer and flattened basal cells, right? So the first thing you see here is prominent orthokeratin, which does not retain your pycnotic nuclei like parakeratinized epithelium. The second thing you see is that the basal cells are flattened, right? In parakeratinized variant, the basal cells were tall columnar with the hyperpolarized nuclei. In orthokeratinized, they are flattened. Then you also, when you go above this, you see a prominent granular layer. Okay, so what it contains is keratohyalin granules. So what are the three things you have seen? You have seen a flattened basal cells, you have seen prominent granular layer and prominent orthokeratin. The differential diagnosis, the first thing I would consider in this diagram is a dentigerous cyst because it is associated with an unerupted tooth. If it appears multilocular, it might, differential diagnosis might go to ameloblastoma. And the third thing is odontogenic myxoma. The treatment, in the first slide, I told you that it was first classified as a cyst and then reclassified as a tumor, and then again reclassified as a cyst. So our treatment modality also you can remember in the same way. Okay, some prefer to treat it like a cyst by simple enucleation or marsupialization followed by enucleation, right? So in marsupialization, you just decrease, allow it to decrease in size and then enucleate it. And other people prefer to treat it like a tumor. So here they fix the surrounding area by the Carnoy solution, or remove a peripheral layer of bone, which is called the peripheral ostectomy. Okay, the idea behind this is that the cyst tends to recur. It has a recurrence rate of 33%. Right, so our treatment modality is aimed at preventing recurrence. What are the causes of recurrence? Incomplete removal of the cystic lining during surgery, thin and friable nature of the epithelium lining, which is only 6 to 8 layers thin and uniform, high level of cell proliferative activity, budding in the basal layer, bony perforation, adjacent adherence to soft tissues. A very important point here is parakeratinization. Okay, so the parakeratinized variant is more recurrent. There might be remnants of dental lamina, and the growth may be from the satellite cysts which are present in the connective tissue capsule. Okay, so just remember 4 important things, which are incomplete removal of the cystic lining, thin friable epithelium lining, remnants of dental lamina, parakeratinization of the surface layer, and satellite cysts. We have already seen its association with the Gollan syndrome in the previous video. And let's just solve some questions before I end the video. So the cyst having a high rate of recurrence among dentigerous primordial OKC and radicular is Odontogenic Keratocyst. Which variant of it is more recurrent and more invasive? It is the parakeratinized variant. And which of the following is wrong about it is that 1, it has low recurrence rate, high recurrence rate, or a low protein content. So the answer is low recurrence rate. Okay, why? Because this question is twisted, right? It does have a high recurrence rate and it does have a low protein content of less than 4 gram per 100 ml. That's why the correct option is this. To summarize, in the previous video, I had already told you that this is a developmental odontogenic cyst derived from the remnants of the dental lamina or the cellulose arrays. It can most commonly occur in the posterior body of the mandible in the ramus third molar area, 50% asymptomatic. Radiographically, unilocular, well-defined rim, scalloped, anterior-posterior growth. And today in the histopathology, we have discussed that the cystic lumen contains of a thick, creamy material consisting of keratin debris and low protein content. The epithelium lining, it is uniform and thin. It is made up of stratified squamous epithelium, which is keratinized. The keratinization may be para or orthokeratin. In para, the very important thing is basal cells are tall columnar with hypochromatic, hyperpolarized nuclei. In the connective tissue capsule, we have seen a satellite cyst and a separation of the lining from the capsule. We have studied the treatment modalities and we have studied the main causes of recurrence. With this, we come to the end of the video. I hope this video helps you for your exams, and I hope you enjoyed learning from it as much as I enjoyed teaching it. If you have any doubts, you can comment down below, and I hope you will like and subscribe and comment something. So I hope you have a great day ahead. Thank you for watching. Bye.